Hello, my name is Nate Howard of Mammoth Press, LLC, graphic design and illustration. I'm also the creator of a comic series, Potbelly Mammoth, now on Patreon at patreon.com/Potbelly Mammoth. And today I wanted to do something kind of cool, just a video I've been wanting to do for a while, just showcasing the area that I work in, the actual Mammoth Den, as I like to call it. Just going to go over my little workspace, all the tools that I use, and we'll just kind of familiarize with the Potbelly Mammoth and Mammoth Press LLC work area that I spend most of my time in. So without further ado, let's do it. So before we get into it too much, I think it's only fair that I explain that I actually share my office space with somebody else. It's actually kind of cool. She's a nice lady. She's really nice to me. She seems to like me. But I wanted to introduce, before we got too much into it, before we invaded too much of her time and her privacy while she's trying to work, my beautiful wife, my best friend, and Potbelly Mammoth co-star, Chanoa. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
So we didn't interrupt you too much, did we?
No.
Now, so on this side of the chasm between our desks, it's safe to say that, like, this is where, like, the adult business stuff happens, right? But not for me. You don't actually work for me. In fact, you've made it clear that you'll never want to manage me.
You can't afford me.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you said.
That is what I said.
But this is where all the important, like, adult business stuff with meetings and, you know, other people are involved. Not for me again, but you know, with the COVID, the world stopping because of the pandemic, you know, you've been here pretty much for, you know, 3-4 months straight.
About 4 months now.
Occupying all this space with me. We seem to still get along. Like, is it fine?
Yeah. I mean, I still like you.
Yeah, I told you. So anyways, before we get too much in here, I just wanted to take a moment to share the other half of this office before we get into my nerd fortress on the other side. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
You're my best friend.
You're my best friend.
All right, so we'll open with the wide shot of my my fortress of nerddom, surrounded by gadgets and screens and mammoths. Clearly, this is my half of the Mammoth Den, which I know we've already kind of established is probably not really a thing. Mammoths didn't have dens or caves or anything. I think Chanoa mentioned that they're probably like elephants. They just wandered aimlessly or out in the open. I mean, they didn't really have a whole lot to be scared of, right? Yeah. Anyways, extinction. Well, that came slower. I mean, they just. Anyways, regardless, I'm no mammologist. You'd think I would be by now, but always opportunity for me to learn more. You know what I mean? So, you know, but I like the sound of it. Mammoth Den, and downstairs is the Mammoth Cave. Yeah, Mammoth Den. We'll go with it. So this is my Mammoth workspace. Obviously, I am a Ninja Turtle fan as well. I keep a lot of little treasures from childhood heroes and celebrities that I've met, you know, at doing conventions and stuff with Potbelly Mammoth. Really cool people. I haven't actually met a single one that I didn't love. You know, they say don't meet your heroes, but I fortunately have yet to meet one that I didn't just absolutely love. So here's a small collection of them. I still got a lot more to put up on the walls. I just got to find space, but you know, some got a blimp that's actually not the one I had from childhood. Actually, I have that one in the other room, actually signed by Eastman at a con in Kansas City. But it's got a small hole in it from when I deflated it to have him sign it, so I'll fix it and get it up. But, you know, for now, this one will do. Yeah, so it's kind of a little trophy wall of some actual friends of mine that I know. I got David Frizzell up here that did the Seven Dust artwork for Cold Day Memory. He's actually a local artist here in the area. Down below is Jeff Kessinger, the Ninja Turtles squaring off. Gary Bedell has the Space Ghost print you see up here. And I had the honor of having at the same con that I met Robbie Wrist that took a Sharpie marker to my Mikey, which, you know, I mean, as you should. George Lowe, however, gave him a Sharpie for my Space Ghost pop, and, well, he was very generous with his inking. suck tip spaghettios panties. I think he just came up with whatever came to mind. Whatever, it counts. That's just what happens when you're Space Ghost. My first ever rejection letter from Image. Of course, it was handled by my dog Luna. She wasn't too happy about it, but I thought it was neat that I got a rejection letter at all. So you know, and we got some Freddie Williams and some Buster Moody artwork. Fantastic people, very talented artists, and then the rest of it is, you know, just whatever fandom and nerddom. I got Kit Van Hessen. She was, I think, from Kansas City also. She did a handful, and I didn't commission her to do this, believe it or not. She did Star Wars elephants and mammoths on her own volition, so naturally I had to showcase them. There's no way I couldn't. So the wall is always, you know, growing. There's always more being added. I have a lot more that I have to make space for, but we'll get there. Anyhow, this is the world that I surround myself with on this half, while I do work in this little fortress of screens and just burning my eyes out, you know, editing videos, doing cartoons, doing animations, graphic design and illustrations, kind of my day-to-day forte. So with Mammoth Press, and then same station that I draw. Actually, most of my comics were done on a laptop, but anymore I draw most of the Potbelly Mammoth comics that are now on Patreon. The book 2 is being featured on Patreon at patreon.com/Potbelly Mammoth. I'll show a link in the description for it. But there's not a whole lot to really go over as far as the hardware. I will do videos featuring the projects that I'm doing as I go along. But my drawing tablet, a lot of people use Cintiqs, you know, by Wacom or Wacom. I prefer Wacom, but that's just me. This is the Huion. I think it's a 22-inch display. It's basically a third monitor that actually you can draw on using stylus. It's actually the pressure sensitivity on it. I mean, it's everything that I would expect from a Cintiq, but it's like a quarter of the price. I think I paid $700 for this, and it's like a 27 or 24 or 27 inch drawing monitor. It's awesome. I do a lot of traditional drawing, and I'll scan things in and then send it to my computer, and then I'll finish it up on this, or I'll just, you know, I have some time-lapse videos on my Patreon page of me drawing on this thing, some of the Potbelly Mammoth characters and whatnot, and it's very intuitive, very, very quick, very easy. Let's see, I have to, well, Mammy plush, which of course I have to be surrounded by them, you know, I guess I am the Potbelly Mammoth guy, you know. So there's a little Mammy there, and there's that big Mammy there. And then of course this was the very first Mammy I ever got, actually hand sculpted by Jeff Kessinger, the same guy that did the Ninja Turtle painting on my wall. Back when he was sculpting, he's like, hey, can I do one of Mammy? And needless to say, he knows more about my character's anatomy than I do, because I cheat. I use 2D graphics. I use vectors, so it was an honor to have him, and I used to take him around to conventions and showcase him, but I got kind of clumsy and broke his nose a couple times. So he stays here now. He stays here on my light, where I keep everything else. My monitors are dual Asus 27-inch monitors. I think they're like $200 a piece. They're pretty good. They're not 4K. They're just, you know, 1080. But they're identical. So having dual displays is really handy when you work primarily in the Adobe suite, when you have like, you know, almost a dozen programs that you bounce around on a regular basis. So having dual displays for anybody who's curious, anybody who does heavy schoolwork, absolutely. I would always recommend having dual displays. Plus, it looks cool. My desktop is actually kind of it's pretty old overall. A long time ago, I built it. However, I've been switching out most of the parts left and right, most of the hard drives and the fans and everything. The processor, I think, is like a 6-core AMD processor. I haven't had to replace it. The video card is actually a GeForce 1080 or 1050 Ti. It's actually pretty old, but it runs. I mean, the benefit of having a heavy-duty design computer is that it also doubles as a gaming computer. So honestly, everything next gen that's been coming out, I can still run on the top settings, no problem, 60 frames a second. I mean, it's not the best by today's gaming standards, but for me, it's awesome. So I've been fortunate that I've been able to find everything for pretty cheap, and I'm an Asus fanboy, so all the parts that I do have in there are made by Asus. But really, the processor, the 16 gigs of RAM, which I can get up to 32 gigs, but the processor, the RAM, and the video card are the only ones that have really stayed the same over the last, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Everything else I just kind of switch out as I need it, or upgrade, update. So yeah, having a desktop that, my laptop actually runs circles around this thing, but it's still reliable, it's still running. So this is my workstation. So as time goes on, my gear will switch out, the space will change, and I'm not exactly sure how Chanoa feels about being on the other side of the room, having to stare at this mecca of nerddom. But she doesn't seem to mind. She hasn't complained. She's been stuck with me for 4 months, and I mean, granted, as you can see, she has a little bit of turtle fandom herself. Actually, it's more for me, but she's really good at drawing turtles. In fact, she drew that last year. Okay, or not, whatever. But hey, you know what? My birthday's coming up in another month, so, it works out. And you better be happy with that, because I don't think that ink's coming off the board.
Oh, if I want it off, I'll get that off.
Okay. All right. But of course, there's no way that I could have a Bob Ross without her having a Bob Ross. Anyways, this is a quick little tour of the Mammoth Press LLC / Potbelly Mammoth drawing office. This is most of this time I spend here in this room. If you have any questions or about anything I showed you, or any concerns, I suppose, by all means, feel free to hit me up. Thanks.